Hello plant friends, my name is Victoria and you're watching Plantastics. Today I'm going to show you how my rare plants are doing. So it's going to be an update of an update or something like that. So here we go. So here is my Jaclyn Alocasia. It is doing pretty well. This leaf is looking a little, seen better days. Underneath are these beautiful veins. I don't know if you can see, if it'll focus. The leaves are incredibly textured. It's almost like the rough side of a sponge. And then, of course, there's like almost like stripes on the leaves, but not quite. I'm not really sure what you would call that pattern. So here is my Anthurium Clarinerium, and it is sprouting all kinds of different leaves at the base. And of course, every time it makes a new leaf, it loses one. So got several different little, it's really quite interesting. So it looks like it's almost divided to where there are, in the future, of course not now, 3 separate plants. So that's interesting. Very precious. We're gonna have a nice little root shot here. I actually did a mix of, we all know I love Miracle Grow, and then orchid bark, and it's the kind that has perlite and charcoal in it. That's what the soil is, and then I just did the little leca balls at the bottom just because I did not want water to collect in the soil and touch the roots. So this allows a lot of air, but it still has all the nutrition and benefits of soil. This is something I've done, I don't know, I think I've always done it. Even when I had terrariums, I used little rocks at the bottoms of my pots and whatnot. So you can see the roots are very happy, established, nice and furry. They honestly look like orchid roots, and at the bottom I've got one kind of curling around there. And I've got a little bit of, the green stuff isn't actually algae, it is moss. If you can see that, let's see. It's moss. Isn't that funny? Moss is growing. It's also growing kind of at the top here, but it's just snaking through. Here is my Billianti. This leaf has been yellow for a long while. It is a new leaf, and it will eventually turn green. And we're going to just look. We have another new growth peeking out here. This little pink curled up part, that's going to be a new leaf. So it's put out probably 2 new leaves, I think, since last time. And then this one's the same way. I've got soil and bark mixed together, and then I've got the leca balls at the bottom. And you can see all of the cute little roots growing. I honestly am putting off repotting this one. I want it to kind of wrap around a little bit more before I put it in a new pot. But yeah, you can see they're really, I hope nothing falls out, but they are really traveling. So I even have a root that's coming out at the top here. You can see right there and there. I've got roots coming out of the soil, so maybe he will get repotted. Luckily, this is legitimately just a Gatorade container, so I can just cut this and get him out just fine. So I just realized I have 2 other plants in the window that are also rare, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I got them from the window. So moving on, this is a rehab. It is a Philodendron Splendid, and I really wish that I had taken photos or videos when I first got it. It has grown where this leaf point is, this new point of growth. has extended since I've had it. The moss is like, I would say that it's damp. I wouldn't say that it's wet. And you can see that there's not water. The roots honestly haven't grown for you to see them yet, but I anticipate that will happen soon. I also have a dot block, and this one is a pure, so it's an Anthurium Clarinerium, and the newer growths, once it matures, of course, because right now it's so small, they will be black, and then as they harden off, they will turn a normal color. So when I had it, it was just 2 leaves. It was also attached still to the seed. And through my great misfortune, I knocked this seed off of there. And I felt for sure that it was going to die because it was just so fragile. And also, this leaf right here, you're going to have to use your imagination because it's not going to focus. But it was like turning, like the humidity wasn't high enough, so it was like basically almost like it looked burnt, like sunburnt, but it was just drying out. So I used a tiny little thing like you stick in an ear of corn, and I made little holes all the way around. So whenever I do water it, it drips down into the bottom of this terracotta pot, and I have them in this glass little terrarium. And I basically just put them in there and close it, and that keeps the humidity higher than in my room. It has not rained here in over 4 weeks, so humidity is incredibly low. In fact, right now it is 42% with my humidifier running really high, and it's kind of scary. You can't actually see many roots, but you can see them. They're poking through the soil, but they're not, they're like very superficial and on the surface. But I'm not able to see them actually touching the sides of this little Jello cup holder. So that's another Anthurium. Another one that's newer to my collection is this one right here. And it is a dot block Magnificum cross. And it's beautiful. Unfortunately, in its travels here, it got pinched in the box, so it's like cut, but it's not dead. Like, so I haven't exactly, I don't know, maybe it'll stay green and just be like halfway attached. I'm not really sure, but we're going to see how that goes. And this one's the same. So I've got my Leica at the bottom, and then Miracle-Gro mixed with some bark, and this one's actually in an orchid pot. I got this because it's clear. I didn't really care for the holes, but it's nice, so that way they won't just be sitting in water. Next is my largest Anthurium, and it is just like, I think it's going to be quite a large plant. It seems to really like my home because it has grown substantially. So for starters, I bought this and this Anthurium at the same time. I actually bought this one previously. Anthurium Clarineriums grow incredibly slow, so that may not do it justice. But they were both seedlings, and this one used to be, the one I'm fixing to show you, used to be smaller than this. So this is my Radicans Luxurians cross, and it is big. Like, it's gotten incredibly large, and I'm stuck in a fly trap. So it's beautiful. Unfortunately, in watering it, it was all, curled up, and I just barely bumped it. And that was just enough to cause enough damage for it to tear a hole after the leaf had unfurled. This one is so beautiful and unique. It has these like reddish pink stems and these quilted leaves. So I really enjoy this. If you're looking for an Anthurium that enjoys 40 to 50% humidity without throwing a tantrum and is going to grow prolifically for you, I highly encourage you get this. It's going to make you feel like you're a really great plant parent, because I'm going to be honest, these all grow in the same conditions in my office, and this one seems to it just succeeds, it just thrives and goes above and beyond. here is where the newest leaf is going to come out. I'm not going to touch it because I'm not trying to hurt it. And it was in the soil, and it looks as though that it's growing out, and it has more and more roots. There's another root growing there, and it's really interesting. Now this one is in a glass pot, and this is a much, like, it's more of an airy mix. It's not my typical Miracle-Gro. It's the Miracle-Gro indoor potting mix. And I find that I have to water this more frequently than the bark and just regular garden soil mix. So that's great because this is glass, and it does have a drainage hole, but it's relatively small. But yeah, it's in the same type of setup where I've got the leca at the bottom and then the clay, the leca and clay, and then I've got the tree bark and then the Miracle-Gro mixed together. And as you can see, the roots are just going crazy. Like, there's a new end just going and going. And they're very much like what they're in. You can see some right there. But yeah, this was like at a vintage store, and I really wish that I could find another one. I really enjoy being able to see the roots, especially in these. Pretty much if you've got orchids, like Phalaenopsis orchids are what I'm going to compare the roots to. Basically, whenever they're starting to turn white, you can water them, or it's safe to assume that you can water them. And then when they're green, like this one here, he was watered recently. That means that they don't need water right now. So, but these honestly, so this one's white right here, but you see how the others are green? So I wouldn't water this one yet because this soil is still moist from when I watered it earlier. So these can be dry. It'll be okay, you know. But this one is it's just spectacular. It's really, really performed well in my environment. And the leaves are this dark burgundy, and then they trade their color in their transition into green. And I think that it's really cool because parts of it are like pink and burgundy and green at the same time, and it looks really cool. It's fun to watch them change colors. So the largest and most of an investment plant is next. And I might do a video just on this one. So this is my Melanochrison, Philodendron Melanochrison, and it is actually two different plants in this one pot. It has these beautiful velvet leaves that are just textured, and they need very nice conditions while they are forming leaves. I do have some disfigurement here, unfortunately. It's just not entirely flat, and I think that's because the humidity wasn't really that high here, and it wasn't really high in the greenhouse. Also, I had wind. I have several fans going at all times, not growing. That would be really weird. But I have several fans kind of going just generally, so I have good circulation in this room. And in doing so, I accidentally pointed one at this new forming leaf, and it is unfortunately torn. So my largest leaf that's unfurling on this larger plant is going to be torn, and you know what? Every time I look at it, I'll be kind of sad, but I kind of have it pointed towards the back side of the plant, so maybe I won't look at it and be too sad. But yeah, but it's okay. This leaf formed okay. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not great either. And then I used 12 gauge copper wire to make a trellis here. I don't know if I'm gonna make a moss pole and attach it. I just don't know. I'm trying to have some diversification in my growing, like my vertical growing things. So I've got several moss poles, and I feel like if I have like all moss poles, it's just gonna look overdone. So right now it is on this copper trellis. And the cool thing is you can make these trellises into anything. Like this one is for my Hoya, and I just made a cute little heart. So you can make them into whatever you want. I mean, if you look at it from the side, you can definitely tell that I did it by hand, but that's not a rare plant. But you can take this wire and you can kind of make it into whatever you can imagine. So these are my plants, and the last one isn't technically a rare plant, but I'm going to include it anyways, simply because I think it's very striking, and I don't know if everybody has it yet. So it is a begonia. We know that I love my angel wing begonias. And I'm going to put the name in the comments because I don't have faith in saying it correctly right now. It is very good. I lost a leaf. I've seen videos where people are able to propagate from a leaf. We're going to see if I can do that because the leaf that fell off is in, it's so small. It's in the top of one of those little Germex spray, like the little cap. I have it in the little cap over there. And it's in the humidity box. But yeah, so these are all of my plants. This is an update, so if you're ever curious and you want to try something different, you can try this. I've had great success with it, and I hope you do as well. But yeah, I'm really excited for this Philodendron Splendid because I'm sure many of you are aware. It's basically a Philodendron Melanochrison mixed with a Philodendron Varicosum. And they have some of the better genes, so they're not as prone to like damage or spider mite. Like I've heard varicosums are incredibly prone to spider mites. I don't know how true that is. I've never owned a varicosum, but maybe this one has some resilience to pests and just fans blowing nonstop that these don't have. Maybe, but we will see. Because I'll give it, I think within 3 months I'll have a leaf or two, and then I'll definitely update y'all then. By that time, this thing will probably have taken over my entire office. So thank you so very much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment some of your favorite plants below and some tips that maybe I didn't mention or some things that work well for you in your area. And so sorry. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.